was just Calling the meeting to order at 6:02 this evening. If I could have a roll call, please.
Lauren Dowden,
Present.
Michael Thomas, excuse.
Absence with excuse, he had vacation before he joined us. Can't argue with that.
David Shepherd,
Present.
Rachel Merrickwit,
Present.
Denise Jones, yes. Michael I. Miller, Colleen Clemzak.
Present.
All
Great.
here.
Thank you very much. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, I have one change to the agenda that is presented in front of you. So if you want to take a review of the agenda, and also we'll be adding an action item G to approve the terms of the proven IT lease agreement that was mentioned in the update last week for 5 years and 5 additional copy machines for the district,
Replacements, yes.
much to the teachers' delight, yes.
We
So
need
that
paper.
will be a, that will be an item number, letter G, the last, consent agenda item. So with that change, do I have any other changes? If I could have a first motion, please? Thank you, Michael, and a
I'll second.
second from over here, great, thank you, Rachel. And a roll call?
Michael I. Miller,
Yay.
Rachel Merrickwit,
Yes.
David Shepherd,
Yes.
Lauren Dowden,
Yes.
Denise Jones, yes. Colleen Clemzak.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you very much. Okay. If we are ready for our staff reports.
Yes, of course.
Great.
Good evening. Our first representative for this evening is Miss Jan Staton for our community education update.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for being here.
I wanted to update you on a few of the fall classes that I talked about last time I was here, but we hadn't actually had done the classes yet. And Dan was good enough to put some slides together. I feel the photos give you a better idea of the enjoyment that a lot of people have with these classes. So the first one is our jewelry making class, and as you can see, they really did a wonderful job. I mean, there were earrings and necklaces that left this room that you could have purchased somewhere else that were really beautiful. They did a great job.
Awesome.
The next class that took place was the waterfall making class, card making class. A very unique type of a card where you would pull the ribbon on the bottom, it would fold down, and you put your message inside. And these were the ladies that took that class. The charcuterie board class it was massive. There were about 30 people.
It was so fun.
It was a lot.
It was a great time, and I had 2 little helpers.
You did have two helpers
which
that you
was
didn't
hilarious.
know prior to that class at all.
They lived down the street from
Oh,
me.
they
But
did?
they
Oh.
didn't know that they lived down the street from me. It was so great. It was a great class.
It was a really fun class.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
You
Yeah.
can see in the upper right-hand corner how we had it all laid out. Everyone got to pick what they wanted on their board.
Yes.
So if there were, some cheeses or meats or whatever they didn't want, they didn't have to take those. And then they individually made their own boards with the help of Camille Dickey and her daughter. And you can see they all did their own thing, which was great. It
There
came
was
out
some
nice.
beautiful art. I don't know if you guys can see the bottom, but there was some artful arrangement,
Yes.
and
A lot
you
of
almost
flowers.
felt bad to eat it,
Yeah.
almost.
Almost.
But it was lovely.
And then we started our spring classes at that point, and the watercolor weaving art, you could see in the upper right-hand corner, well, 2 of our teachers actually came to that class, and those were they get to pick their own colors and their own design, and then everyone ended up with something a little unique to what they were looking for. Then the decoupage vase class, they were given a plain vase that they picked their own colors again, and with tissue paper, and used a matte finish to finish it off. And then that we have water in them with lights, candles floating candles, so that they could take them out in the summer and just put them on their patio or whatever. So that was the decoupage class. The herb garden, we had a lot of kids at that class. It was kind of a mix of kids and adults, and they, the class was sponsored by Pam Decker, who's Brian Decker's wife, through her real estate firm, and she did a great job. She bagged actually all the dirt and bought all the pots here for us, and they all got to just pick what they wanted to do, what colors they wanted, if they wanted a design on it, and then they took home their packet of herbs and their pots and their dirt. So we didn't take a chance of it losing it in the car. The next class was the ravioli class, and that was another class that was very large. We actually had the mayor and her husband in that class, and she was very appreciative of the classes the district offers to the community, which was very nice of her to mention that. But everyone left with a bag of ravioli that they could go home and boil or bake or whatever they decided to do with it. And followed by the little chef's class, and they were quite the little bakers. They did a really nice job of putting their dough together, then letting it rise. We had some coloring sheets and things for them to do while their dough rose about 20 minutes. And then they came back and they pounded it out and they rolled it and they cut it and they made it into balls and put it in their pans and took it home. And I heard from a number of them that it was, you know, they really turned out really well. So it turned out to be a great class. And then we had CPR and first aid again from the fire department. And our CPR typically does fill up pretty quickly. I talked to Ed Dunn, and he said he would do another class, a second CPR class. So we end up training 20 this time around, and then another 10 for the first aid class. So our totals from this program since it started, we have 201 individuals trained in CPR and 143 individuals trained in first aid. And those are either community members or staff members. And then we still continue to offer the free English class for our parents and community. And we're in partnership with Moraine Valley for that class. We offer it also to districts 123 and 6. And we offered it finished up in mid-April, and we'll start up again in the beginning of September. So we have it all kind of lined up, just waiting for the summer to start. We will go virtual again this year. We were in person for the first several years. This is our 8th year doing this. And then when COVID hit, we went virtual, and we just found a lot of our parents, especially now that we're asking other districts to join us, a lot of our parents it's much easier for them to do it at home. So we continue to do virtual, and we will continue that next year. And yeah, that's 18 people post-tested for that. So great.
8th year.
Yeah, our 8th year, yeah. We started at the very beginning of this. So that's it. If you have any questions.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much, Jan, for all your work.
Good job. They're pretty awesome. Charcuterie was great, and I've taken the CPR class along the way too. So, yeah, it's awesome programs. Thank you.
Great. So next on our agenda, we have our assessment presentation by our building principals, in which they will be displaying our end-of-year star growth and achievement updates. And our first presentation will be conducted by Dr. Bannock. He always gets to go first. It's a seniority thing,
Scott's
right,
nodding.
Dr. Bannock?
Yes, he does.
Has to explain SGP, so.
Excellent. Then you don't have to.
Good evening, everyone. So we have the STAR results that we compared fall to the spring benchmark. So once again, we do the STAR testing. It's a testing we do for all students K through 8th grade 3 times a year in the fall, winter, and spring. And we look at these are the charts you see compare the fall to spring benchmarks. So we look at 2 different scores. The first is the achievement score. So it's the percentage of students that meet or exceed standards for STAR sets certain benchmarks for each grade level, and it continues to grow. So the spring benchmarks are higher than the fall ones. So these are the achievement columns are the percentage of students that meet or exceed those benchmarks in each of the different grade levels. the last column you see, we also look at growth. And so what growth is, it compares to everyone who started at a similar location, and it's how the students grew compared to the other students that started in a similar spot. So for example, an SGP of 40 means a student grew better than 40% of students that started in a similar spot to them. So STAR test, they say that 35 SGP is good. The district has a goal of having a 50 SGP for our students. So 35 would mean that they have like at least a year's worth of growth. With that, like I said, the district, we'd prefer to see 50 or above. So what you see in front of you is our reading assessment scores. So kindergarten did a great job, and our staff did a great job this year. So we're still, I think, kind of, I know the pandemic seems very far away, but we're still seeing kind of the effects of that through that, and I'll talk more about that, especially with my 5th grade, what we're seeing with that. I know the scores are a little bit lower. That's something that we are working on and working with. But like I said, the staff worked really hard so that we have some good scores and some good things to celebrate for reading. So same thing with math. So same thing, you'll see the fall benchmark for achievement to spring. So there's some decent growth with that, and then the SGP a little bit lower. So one of the other things, just to remind you, we had the new series this year. So sometimes when you implement a new series, you'll see an implementation dip as staff gets used to it and kind of gets the pacing down. You see kind of scores sometimes drop a little bit the first few years of implementation for a new program. But still the scores were above the 35 that STAR would recommend. And several, like 4th grade was really close to the 50 SGP that we'd be hoping for as well too. So then each of us will present a plan in terms of like moving forward, what we hope to do. So for Northwest, we continue to offer support after school for students that need extra support. We're also going to emphasize like emotion management. One thing that we've noticed, especially after the pandemic, is students needing that extra support of just like managing emotions and different things like that. So we're looking at something to do with across classrooms next year. It's called Zones of Regulation. For curriculum and instruction and assessment, we worked on Accountable Talk, is getting the students more engaged in talking about concepts and different things in class. So we hope this year we focus more on like the student to teacher and like doing that, and for next year the focus will be more on student to student discourse within the classroom. We're also, obviously we have a new reading series that we'll be implementing next year with CKLA. So we'll be doing unit planning with our grade level teams over the course of next year as part of our high quality tier 1 instruction. And then this year with our new math units, we did the unit planning, so next year we'll move on to lesson planning to kind of hone more into like what that looks like within the different lessons. And then, like I said, talking about 5th grades and different things like that, so looking at the data, about 23% of our 5th graders had transferred into the district over the past few years. And so 23% of the 5th graders were transfer students who transferred in over the last few years that came in not meeting expectations in reading. And so that's something that we're trying to figure out, is how to help these students get to where they need to be. If they come in 4th and 5th grade, it's obviously a short runway before they're off to Central, but we're, like this year with our interventionists, as we saw this growing trend, they received, it's called Wilson, which is a program, because they're having problems with like decoding and learning how to read. So it's not just like reading to learn, it's actually like being able to read to figure things out. So we're trying to find some interventions that are appropriate for more of the older students. So like I said, we did Wilson this year. We're also looking at another program that would bridge with the program that the Central Middle School uses. So there's cohesiveness between our buildings and their building. So.
And that's Read 180?
Read 180, yes. Yep.
Can you explain the Wilson training?
So Wilson is, so it's teaching students how to read. So it's like a decoding and phonics fluency program that kind of goes back to the beginning of like letter sounds, letter names, and putting those together to make words and different things like that. But we're trying to find, that's a little bit more geared towards like the younger students. So like I said, we're trying to find one that's more geared towards the older students.
And Dr. Bannick is gonna partner with Dr. Carlson to pilot Read 180 next fall to determine whether or not this will support our new movements as well.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Mann.
Right, Mr. Liska.
All right.
as always, thanks to Matt for stepping up and going first on that. So a lot of really good things happening at all the schools, but Southwest especially. See those achievement numbers really up there, and a lot of really good growth numbers as well. One of the things that Kathleen and I looked at is those grade levels where the achievement numbers are at the same or lower from fall to spring, kind of indicates a little bit of flatness in the growth piece. And so talk a little bit about that more in my action plan and how we plan to address that. And then math as well, a lot of really nice scores and growth. We in reflecting on this data, one of the things that we found interesting was just the way that SGP works sometimes. So for example, our second graders had a ton of growth and achievement in terms of like the number of kids that met or exceeded those benchmarks, but our growth scores were low even though the percentage grew a lot. And then in fifth grade, conversely, the achievement numbers dipped a little bit, but the median SGP score was above that 50 benchmark threshold that the district has. So there's a lot of I think individualized student by student growth numbers that we'll take a look at with teachers over in the coming months when we get back for how we can plan to be real targeted with some of those interventions and supports. So one of the things that I really wanted to do this year was bring more extracurricular opportunities for students, and we did a nice job with that. Kathleen and I call them kind of our after threes, where we opened up a number of different programs and opportunities for kids with outside providers, and then our teachers, anytime our teachers sign up to do a club or put on a club, there's a ton of interest because they have such strong relationships with our kids. We'll have to call them something different next year after 255s or something like that.
You have a morning one too, didn't you have
We had a morning
yoga?
one.
So
Yeah, yoga this morning, or in the mornings on Tuesday, was incredibly popular with Mrs. O'Connor and Ms. Grazovich. We had to add a second facilitator for that club because there were so many people that were ready to come at 7:30 to school, which is a testament to our teachers again. So we'd like to continue with that. Some teachers have extended some ideas for new opportunities for kids, but they always find a way to make it fun no matter what it is. Again, celebrate the successes that we saw in the data, strong instruction's happening. We want to work to leverage that success. We've spent some time working with Dr. Dale on the learning walks and really trying to systematize getting teachers in each other's classrooms to see the things that are going really well. For us academically, looking at our focus as a building leadership team was small group math instruction next year, which will really help us to be more targeted as we look at the performance of some of those individual students who may be achieving but might not have had the SGP score that we wanted. With the new ELA resource, obviously we want to build in time. I'm trying to work through the master schedule to build in intentional time to give teachers an opportunity to interact with that in a meaningful way so that they feel prepared when they step in front of the kids each day for those new lessons and that new curricular resource. And then again, going back to that individualized, the STAR has an exercise where you kind of look at kids and you put them into different quartiles relative to their growth and their proficiency. And so really trying to figure out where kids fall and know who to target and how to best support them. Our younger grades, looking at the data, did really well, and that's, I feel like, because we prioritize them with our interventions. We do see when we offer homework help or targeted student intervention groups, there's not as much participation from some of the older grades. They have conflicting activities and things like that. And so we want to try to, when we offer those, get kids from across the grade levels because we did see higher growth from the primary grades in that respect. So lots of good things happening and then lots of things to work on as well. Thank you. Questions?
Good evening, everyone. How are you today? Good. Okay, first I want to start off by saying thank you to my amazing staff. there's some greatness that I'm about to present in our numbers. We're happy. We're definitely not where we need to be, but we're definitely moving in the right direction. But that includes like our interventionists, our special education resource teachers, our paraprofessionals, even office staff who have jumped in to be mentors as well. So it fully is a collective team effort. And then I want to talk about just overall kind of some things that we embrace to get to where we are right now. Intentional planning, we're going to continue, as well as we departmentalized in 3rd and 5th grade. So in planning to jump on, 4th grade, we'll join them next year as well. So I really like that teachers have a craft and are able to hone in on their specialty. And, it's time consuming to plan and differentiate, so they'll be able to focus on just like certain areas. We also address social and emotional needs at Northeast. We take pride in that. We know that we cannot exercise the mind until the heart, is where it needs to be. So we really work on the social emotional. We have mentorship and the FLY program, and we have as well as our Power Quarter Hour that we do every day as a school. So as you can see, we're super happy in our kindergarten class. This year, they did a tremendous job, but every other grade is right at that 50 SGP. We are looking at, obviously like 3rd, 4th, and 5th, we really want to increase those the meet and exceed numbers. We have a lot of students that are in the blue. It's color coded, so green, blue. I always joke with the principals, like, can I count the blue ones? They're like, no, Carrie, you can't. So, but they're the ones that we're going to hone in on in our plan, that 25th to 49th percentile. So that's where I want to move the needle is with that specific group of students. Obviously, the reds and the yellows will get their tier interventions, but this blue kind of limbo group, we really want to set some plans and some programming, get that in place to move them forward. So we're excited about our new reading curriculum also next year. We know that maybe we might see some slight dips, but I'm hoping more than anything that we see an increase.
Is this the same curriculum? I'm sorry. Is this the same curriculum for Northwest?
Yes. Yes, the entire district, same
We
curriculum.
are really pulling on the same work, working towards the same goals in a pre-K through 8th grade curriculum lens. So if you recall, K through 8th grade in a number of years will be on the same math curriculum, and next year we'll be adopting the same curriculum for K5 in ELA and 6-8 for ELA. Super important.
And then our math scores, again, I know either Matt or Scott mentioned first year with new math curriculum, so we're excited. We had some learning curves. We really intentionally want to up and make sure that we're right on pace with our pacing. But again, I feel like we're a little bit lower in math than we were in reading. 5th grade did great. So we're excited to see what will come next year. And as far as our plan, sorry about that, we do for culture, we want to continue to collaborate with our district leadership teams and our building leadership teams to analyze end of the year data that we collected through our high quality tier 1 instructional tool. And really what we want to do with that is create a plan for some meaningful professional development that, when I say meaningful professional development, like something that we can participate in and the very next second implement and use. And like teachers walk away saying, this directly impacts me and I'm going to now bring it back to my classroom. So we have some ideas. One, we really want to make sure we strengthen our team building at our building level with all of our teachers. We have some new staff members coming on, so we want to make them feel warm and welcome, but then we want to make sure that carries over to our classroom because we know that kids won't take those risks until they feel comfortable and a part of a community. So we want to make sure that we have that as well. Continue to provide opportunities for students and teachers to provide feedback and then use that feedback when implementing new processes, and then strengthen that student voice. So we're starting to dabble a little this year with getting our students involved, surveying them, and then using, making them feel important and validated and coming up with plans moving forward and have them a part of that process. And then just being real intentional, making sure my teams have time to collaborate and look at the data. We were able to do an offsite visit this year and we saw that in action, and I really wanna mirror that this year at Northeast, making sure that my grade level teams have common plan time, that they're able to sit down and really analyze the data to move forward. And I want them to have this notion that it's okay to take risks, because sometimes I feel like we say, oh, we want comfort and we wanna make sure that we make kids feel comfortable, but it's okay to push them a little bit out of their comfort zone to take those risks. And then in terms of curriculum instruction and assessment, again, create opportunities for our interventionists and coaches to work with our staff, and this is where their work is going to come in with that those students in the blue, that 25th to 49th percentile. So my coaches will be having coaching cycles with the teachers of those students. I would like to implement a before school tutoring program for the students in the 25th percentile. And then again, continuing to use our learning walks to monitor the progress of our high quality tier 1 instructional tool. Sorry, I don't know why that print went like that, but any questions? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Force?
It's a need. I would say it's a need of both parties.
Hi. Good evening. I'm Haley Lemire, principal at Southeast. So just like Carrie said, I'm super proud of our progress as well. I will say that STAR is one very important data piece, but it's one data piece. But I will say we're trending in the right direction, and not only with STAR, but with our 5 essentials, with our building walkthroughs. So I'm really proud of our teachers and the work that we're doing. A couple of highlights of reading, looking at that achievement with kindergarten and second grade from fall to the end of the year. And then looking at that median SGP, again, over 50, so kindergarten, second, and fifth, we're definitely over 50, but then the rest of our numbers are very close to where we're aiming for as well. And then for math, again, looking at achievement, second grade and fourth grade had pretty big jumps in achievement, 18% and 19%. And then with the growth, again, highlighting fourth and fifth that were well above 50. So proud of that work. So our plan, some of the things that we're just really proud of is we committed to a full-time instructional coach this last year, and we've really seen a difference with that. So instead of having the split with the coach and the interventionist, we've had someone that's just a teacher that had been teaching for 18 years in the building transition to coaching, so already had that rapport and trust with staff, and to really see her kind of take our instruction to the next level has been really exciting to see, and especially work with some of our younger teachers, but to see the impact of that instructionally across the board has been exciting. Our school implementation team, so our building leadership team, we've really worked to build, sorry, spelling error up there, but we've really worked hard to build trust within our building leadership team. So Kathleen and I have really worked with that team to find leaders within our building that are ready to kind of push us to the next level. And that instructional leadership team has done just that. So it's really looked at a critical lens at the building and has helped kind of come up with plans on a monthly basis with our action plan in terms of what we want to do at Southeast. Another huge just thing that we're proud of is having consistent data conversations and systems in place around academic and behavior data. So we've talked about our new behavior plan as a district, but having like every 6 weeks behavior meetings where teachers are involved in those meetings looking at our behavior data. So those are just systems that we didn't have clearly in place prior to this year, and I think that both academically and behavior, we've been able to kind of ensure that we've had consistency in those systems this year. Focus areas, we want to continue that work that we're already doing and that we're really proud of, but also some of the areas that we are focusing on for this next year is attendance. We definitely want to focus on attendance more at Southeast and just have better systems built in place to support students. Again, across the districts, the support and the implementation of new curriculum. So again, just like everyone, second year with Eureka Squared and then first year with CKLA and just knowing what that means for teachers. We really wanna celebrate strong instructional practices at Southeast, so we do that in our teacher newsletter on a weekly basis, but we also wanna have more opportunities at our PLC time to really highlight some of those instructional practices. So just like Carrie said, things that we see our teachers doing every day, where they can share quick things where everyone can kind of learn from one another. So providing those opportunities. Maximizing instructional time is something we looked at this year, and so continuing to kind of look at our instructional day and how we're using, the time within our day to maximize our time. And then some of the things that have come up as part of our learning walks that we've done this year as focus areas is to look at student accountable talk, so to hear student voice within the classroom and what does that look like and feel like, and how do we provide those opportunities. Clear learning targets is something that we focused on this year that we want to continue to focus on, so teachers really clearly defining what they're doing and what they're teaching that lesson about. And then looking at our diverse learners and our groupings within our classroom to differentiate and best meet the needs of everyone in the class. Any questions?
I just think you all did a great job this year. I'm sitting here comparing notes for last year,
Thank you.
last year's presentations. And you all did an outstanding job this year based on the numbers. And I know you all would like to do better.
Right,
You
it's
know,
definitely
and
a work in progress, yeah, but
It's a
I'm
work
really
in
proud of our
progress.
staff. I feel like everybody, there's just good energy in the building of people that are excited about the work that we're doing and wanna just keep improving.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Dave.
Good job.
Thank you. So Dr. Zipso was unable to make it tonight, so Dr. Carlson is gonna present on behalf of Central Middle School, and then at the end, I'm gonna speak to some additional school improvement processes that we're going through.
So I will speak to Central. We are asking a lot of them. We have met with, as Jenna was saying, we've met with them. We're recognizing areas of growth that need to happen. They have made such positive strides this year in so many areas. I will speak to one of those being their learning walks and learning from one another and the work that they're doing just to build trust within that building amongst all of them. So we are seeing definite improvements. Central reading is obviously a little bit lower than what we would like it to be. Some of those SGPs, particularly at 8th grade, is above that 50, and that is fabulous. We know that introducing the new curriculum there next year, it will have an impact. Just making sure that everyone is consistent in what they're teaching and what those expectations are at the grade level, making sure that we're on standard, all of those things will occur. So we anticipate those going up, and we're gonna work in the positive direction. Similarly, in math, we started Eureka this year at 6th grade, so we do know that there generally is an implementation dip when teachers are learning new material, figuring out pacing, working with students in that area. 7th grade also really latched onto it this year. I'm pretty excited about the fact that by next year we will be 6-8. So 7th grade by mid-year really was recognizing the need for that increased rigor that the Eureka offered. Camille Dickey really spearheaded that at 7th grade, went through the training partially through the year and really helped to facilitate that. Then we've also already gotten our 8th grade teachers training, and they will be using it next year. So we are moving even faster than what we anticipated, and we should see great things for that. So our action plan, we have a lot of really intentional steps that we are taking at Central Middle School, and it's exciting. So recognizing the need for that social emotional support, they've reinstituted the longer advisory periods. If you remember, those were shortened this year. 6th grade still had a longer one, and the others were shortened a little bit, so they will be all consistently longer next year to allow for us to really address that social emotional learning piece that needs to happen. So we'll be meeting next month, starting with some of that work, and we'll be piloting a couple of SEL programs so we can really get teacher buy-in and recognize what impacts kids. Developing Central Middle School staff handbook. One of the things that we really heard from teachers is they're wanting clarity, and wanting clarity for what the procedures are, what is the accountability factor both for staff and for students. So the creation of a Central Middle School handbook is something else that's happening this summer. They're beginning the year with a PBIS boot camp next year. PBIS really is teaching behaviors, teaching expectations to students, so really taking some time out at the very beginning of the year and really reteaching all of those behaviors and setting those expectations, making them clear from the beginning. Developing and implementing more effective systems to address chronic absenteeism. This is something that we're really doing district-wide, recognizing that it's neat. We need kids in school in order to make sure that we're teaching them. So the new Power School system that we will have up and running will allow us to really communicate with parents regarding attendance, and hopefully that will be effective. Continue learning walks. Learning walks is something that kind of everybody has mentioned, and it's really exciting and a big, I think, change that we've really seen from our staff this year. We have found through coaching and when we first started this process, teachers love to be in other teachers' classrooms, but teachers don't necessarily love having people in their own classroom. So that was kind of the hurdle that we recognized. So we really did learning walks 3 times this year. And the first time around, you know, it was a little bit scary and folks were a little bit resistant and nervous and wanted to know what we were talking about. We were really open and transparent with what our high quality tier 1 framework looks like. Everybody had that. Everybody knew this is what we want to see, and this isn't judgmental. We know that we're not where we want to be, but we want to really be able to identify the areas that we are struggling with so that we can provide intentional professional development to meet those needs. And really by the end of the year, they've really embraced it. Even Central kind of did their own day where the different departments observed in the other classrooms, and then the following morning they all met and discussed. I mean, they're really becoming open to seeing one another, watching one another, but I think the important piece is with that quality framework in mind. So when you're in there, you have this, that we're really looking at these specific things. Am I seeing it? Am I not seeing it? If I am, that's great. I can learn from this teacher. If I'm not, then as a staff, what are we doing for that? So those learning walks have really been awesome this year. Curriculum instruction, so continued focus on that high quality tier 1 instruction. Next year, as we've said before, we're really focusing on that 1.5, so the planning structure of that learning block, making sure that we are implementing small group instruction. We've talked a lot about the difference between small group instruction versus just small group learning. We often put kids in small groups to learn, but what does small group instruction look like where the teacher is working with a small group of students, meeting some individual needs during that time? We have 2 full-time coaches next year, so rather than that split coach interventionist, they will be able to devote their entire time to coaching, which will be wonderful. Increase the tier 3 intervention supports in math and reading, so the addition of our Step Up Math and Step Up Reading program, so we'll really be able to target some of those students that are struggling or not showing the SGP once we take those benchmark assessments and be able to help provide them tier 3 supports. We are adding in advanced language for multilinguals. That will be a class that we're also adding next year where those students will get those bilingual supports each and every day. And then we're focusing on grade level team and department time to really restructure it and make sure that has a system to it, and that we're discussing certain things at those different meetings, whether we're discussing student data this day or student discipline this day. That will help us to really look at where our students are and what their needs are, and we can then drive that instruction based on their academics or social emotional needs. So that's Central Middle School. They're working hard. Thanks.
And I'm just gonna speak briefly to some of the work that we've conducted at Central Middle School. So I graciously, and they all willingly, my whole cabinet came to Central Middle School to conduct some listening tours that really led into some of the school improvement work. And our next steps is to meet to really finalize summer committee work. And so that will convene this summer, and the focus of that committee work will really be around 3 different branches. So the first of which is we've surveyed our parents at Central Middle School and our students at Central Middle School to determine trends in that data. And additionally, we anticipate 3 focus groups. So one of our focus groups will be led and facilitated by Becky Terrell to focus on PBIS implementation and to understand the fidelity of our inventory. The next will be facilitated by Ashley Carlson, and Christina Lavin to really take a deep dive into our SEL curriculum and to identify 2 particular SEL curriculums in which we can pilot this upcoming fall. And then the 3rd subcommittee will be driven by myself and Dr. Zampillo, along with Patricia Roberts, to really establish systems that includes addressing staff morale and the staff handbook, to which Dr. Carlson mentioned. So we intend to provide a full report to the board come August when that committee work is completed.
Ambitious.
Yes,
I love it, but necessary.
ambitious but necessary. Any questions?
It's a lot to process.
Yes. Well, I just wanted to say thank you so much to my administrative team for making their presentations tonight. And I know in reflection that there is still work to be done, but I definitely believe that we're on the right path. And some of the evidence that I heard tonight was definitely a reference to an increase in our learning walk data and making sure that we're making strong instructional decisions around what we committed to as a team, which is our high quality instructional framework, and ensuring that we're making decisions that are really solidified around what teachers need to be successful to teach our students. So I look forward to next steps. Right, our next update for this evening is to review our end of year celebrations. So we had some retirements that we celebrated, so I just wanted to make mention to them. We had a number of retirements this year in which we celebrated on the last day of school, which was a huge success. Thank you to Miss Sonia Hernandez for all of her efforts. It was definitely the most well-enjoyed charcuterie board, wouldn't you say, David? And I think everyone really enjoyed the afternoon's events. So just a couple of our retirements, Miss Busco, am I saying that right, Dr. Bannock? Miss Busco from Northwest for 7 years of service. Mrs. Walsh from Northwest, 8 years of service. Kathleen Stansky from Northeast with 16 years of service. Barb Nelson, who might also be with us tonight still, with 27 years of service. And Ann Scahill from Northwest with 31 years of service. So we definitely honored all of our retirees that night, and I thank Ms. Colin Klimzak for reading the board recognition of our retirements, and Mr. Shepherd for being there as well. It was definitely a team. Yes. And next, we celebrated our Be Evergreen Awards. So our Be Evergreen Awards is something that really celebrates the culture of our organization and the positivity to do better and to serve better. So our Be Evergreen Award is an award given from peers to peers, and its actions displayed should not go unrecognized. The Be Evergreen Award allows us to share a celebration of our story about how a staff member positively has impacted others with kindness and quality service. So if you can skip to the next slide, we had a number of Be Evergreen Awards this year. So here is a list of all of them. Siobhan Brewer, Northwest. Adi Mendez, Central Middle School. Cindy Roman, she's a D124 employee. Elizabeth Force, Southeast. Julie Kelly, Central Middle School. Judy Fetchko, Northwest. Julie Hemry, D124 with 2 nominations. Lori Johnson, Northeast. Mark Dreyer, Central Middle School. Sarah Welcome, Southeast. Katie Hind, Northwest, Elizabeth Lopez, D124, Sarah Dick, Northwest, and Jackie Moore from Southwest with 4 nominations. And here is a picture of everyone. So it was a great afternoon of events, and we were happy to celebrate all of them on that afternoon. Yes, it's a great day.
Those awards look good.
Yes, they are very pretty. They are very pretty. Yes. And it is great to see some of the staff members who got the awards, and they're, I think, definitely emotional sometimes, and it's because when kindness goes unrecognized, you don't feel appreciated or valued, and that's definitely something in our strategic plan is that we're working on, honoring those that demonstrate kindness and compassion on a daily basis and really go above and beyond. Super fun. All right. Okay, next up we have a report from Dr. Carlson, our multilingual programming update.
So multilingual programming, we have been so busy in this area, and it's exciting, some of the things that we have been able to do. We really took last year deep diving into current programming and what we had and what was working and what wasn't. Really listened to that team and partnered with Michelle Yanong from the Illinois Resource Center, which is a statewide multilingual programming experts. So these are some of the changes that we've had or have upcoming for the elementary school. We reviewed the criteria for placement and made some adjustments to that, thus increasing the number of students that are qualifying for the programming. So we were really hearing from some of our families that we had a number of students that weren't qualifying for full-time TBE services. So we had begun that review of the criteria and we've adjusted that. And we did have more students that qualified this year. What we have noticed is that number of students in the program, we still have a number of refusals. So families that are that qualify for full-time TBE, but for whatever reason do not wish to have that service. So that's something we're really gonna look at next year and speak to how we sell that program and what we do and how we can better communicate to our families, because a lot of times I think that it's just that they don't fully understand or don't understand the benefits of having that simultaneous Spanish language arts and English language arts that they're learning. So we're gonna really work at that and make sure that we're better communicating that out, the benefits of the program. So expanding the full-time TBE programming next year, so we are including a kindergarten, currently it's a kindergarten standalone classroom, which will then allow us to have a first and second grade class and then a third and fourth grade class. So if you remember, the program was stopping at third grade, so we're able to now expand that to fourth grade, which is exciting. We're allowing for parent requests if the numbers allow, so depending on what the enrollment is within the program. Eventually, hopefully, we will be able to grow and expand, and we may need to look at a lottery system in the future, but currently there isn't a need, and we are able to make space for them. So we will have one student that will be joining this year that didn't qualify, but it was a parent request in kindergarten, and then 2 students in first grade as well. And those were the only requests that we had. We are working on aligning the curriculum resources to allow for expanded Spanish language arts. So we have, we've adopted that Amplify CKLA, which is super exciting. And our team of EL teachers have been here for the past 2 days, really looking at the Spanish alignment with the Spanish resource that goes with that. So the Spanish language arts really aligns beautifully with the Amplify CKLA program. So they're by the same company, and students, if you remember, we talked about how it's really content-based. All of those contents align up perfectly. The skills portion obviously looks different, be it the English phonics and foundational skills versus the Spanish, but they line up really well. So they're working on pacing guides and whatnot for that. The last 2 days they've been here and they're coming back in July, so that's exciting. Allowing full-time TBE students to remain at Northeast rather than transferring to their home schools. So historically, when students finished with TBE at Northeast in 3rd grade, they were moved back to their home schools. And we really wanted to change that because this is the staff and the students and the friend groups that they have become accustomed to since kindergarten. We want them to have that option to stay there with the staff and students, so there are many that are doing that. And that builds us to Central. So these are some of the programming updates we have at Central. So we're adding that advanced language for multilinguals class that will be taught by our bilingual teacher that we've hired, Robert Lineker, at Central. Now it'll be an everyday course. Focused on job embedded professional development. We talked about how, remember, structuring that block and really focusing on that small group instruction in the content areas. So that's our focus this year. We want to make sure that students that are in ELA and math and science and social studies are getting the language scaffolding that they need within those classes. intentional scheduling of our ML students to allow for greater support. So we've put them into clusters of kids. So if we need to push in and support a group, we're better able to do that. Increasing partnerships with families to provide any necessary supports, particularly in the area of student attendance. We recognize that that's a need, particularly for our multilingual families. So we want to make sure that we can improve student attendance moving forward and find out what supports what supports they need. And we want to just make sure that these families feel included and that we're welcoming them in to be part of the process. And then finally, we will continue that partnership with the Illinois Resource Center this year. They'll be able to advise us, particularly as we move through the grant and our action plan, and then they will also be providing that professional development for our EL team as well as our teachers, who everyone serves multilingual students. So those are our updates. Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting. And we have a really great team that is willing and able and coming in to do the work. So they have a number of days that they're coming in to support this work this summer. So that's exciting too.
And are we fully staffed as of tonight?
We are, yes. We need a translator, but
Yeah, we need to translate, that's true.
we generally are fully staffed.
Yeah,
so.
with certified teachers.
Yes.
It's just this
So.
huge
Any questions?
bilingual teachers are hard to come by, so I'm very happy to see a bilingual teacher.
Yes.
Quick question for you.
Yes.
I was lucky enough to attend the 9 o'clock
Yes.
meeting that you all had. I learned a lot at that meeting.
Yes, great.
I just had a quick question, because after I left, I just thought about it. Are there any districts in the area, any neighboring districts that have successfully had like a healthy enrollment into the program that we could look into to see?
Absolutely, I'm sure that there are. I have not looked at those numbers specifically, but I'm certain that there are and kind of how they promote their program and what they do. That's a great idea.
Okay.
And our BPAC is passionate and it's
Yes.
awesome, and they're very willing to help us do this work and to help get the word out as well. And so I think that we kind of thought that we were serving all of the kids that we needed, but when we expanded that qualification, we realized that we're getting refusals and it's hard to understand why. So we know that we have work to do in that area. So absolutely.
We definitely have a group of dedicated parents though who are willing to help us communicate out programming needs, which I think is super important from like a parent-to-parent perspective.
Yes, and I think a lot of times that trust level with a parent is they hear it from them and understand it a little bit more than sometimes just hearing it from us. So I think
looks like
Yeah.
for any student,
absolutely.
right? Versus the bigger picture, like,
Yep.
what their day-to-day looks like is very,
Yep.
it's important.
Absolutely.
You wanna know what your kid's gonna be up to in the classrooms.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have our buildings and grounds update from Mr. Hennessy. This is so exciting, we're finally there, right, Mr. Hennessy? He's only been bugging me since forever.
First off, just a quick update on the summer construction at Central. Everything's on schedule, it looks great so far. Next month I'll have pictures of the progress. Right now the pictures wouldn't really show a whole lot of progress, but they're moving along much better than last summer. So it's very exciting. But as you know, when we took out the bond for construction, part of it, we wanted to focus on more HVAC in the buildings that have not had upgrades. And Dr. Woodland and Eric and I discussed different options, and we were presented with two gentlemen from Precision who are here to give you a brief explanation of what they have in mind and hopefully get your approval. So we have Jim and Matt, if they can give you a brief description of what their plans are for Northeast Elementary.
We are so excited to welcome them both and to really get this project started.
Thank you for having us here tonight.
Yes,
I'm
thank you.
Jim Kroll, Precision Control Systems. For 32 years, I've been an account executive doing school refurbishing and school renovation projects with me tonight is Matt Ernst. Matt is a licensed engineer, a mechanical engineer here in Illinois. He's been with us and with Hill Mechanical, and we'll get into Hill in a little bit, for the last 6-7 years. So,
Not like 10, I've been here for 10 years.
so we were asked to talk a little bit about precision control systems, kind of explain who we are, what it is that we do. And then, so we'll go into that. We'll talk about the services that we provide, a little bit of a resume of some of the school districts that are nearby that we're working with. And then Matt will take over and talk about the Purchasing Alliance, the project that we see that's possible. And then also some scheduling and then questions. But really, Precision Control Systems is a specialty contractor. It started in 1980 as a family-owned company. And we have grown to where we're in 75 school districts around you guys. So from Oak Park to IMSA, to Joliet, to Kankakee, to South Bend. We're in 200 to 300 buildings doing work every day with schools. The work that we do, temperature control installations, temperature control maintenance, HVAC installations, new fans, boilers, pumps, and then HVAC maintenance, preventive maintenance. We're in a building daily doing work. We, in 2016, joined up with Hill Group. Hill is a mechanical company that is in Franklin Park. They're the leading mechanical contractor in the Midwest, really. They are a $400 million entity. They've got 1,000 employees going at it every day, including 70 or so at Precision. Hill is, they've got a 300,000 square foot fabrication shop on the Tri-State right by O'Hare. You've probably, if you see the picture on page 1, you may have seen that, you may have driven by it. Hill provides engineering. They've got over 75 engineers licensed in various states. Sheet metal work, pipe fitting work, sprinkler pipe fitting work. So they're covering that. Precision has union pipe fitters, union electricians. So we've got the mechanical, the electrical, and Hill also has the plumbing side. So we've got all of that hardcore work that we can do under one roof. We had a quick discussion a little bit ago. Some of the districts that we've worked with locally to you, ALSIP 126, Revis 220, Evergreen Park High School District 231, Hometown 126, Blue Island 130, Worth 127, Indian Springs 110, Indian Springs 109, CJ Saz 110. So we're here. We've got people living here that are going at it every day, working, putting in mechanical, electrical, plumbing work. The labor force, Hill has over 600 people in the field every day working on this type of equipment. So that's a little bit about Precision. We're owned by Hill Group, but they allow us to run our own business the way we see fit. I think that covers pretty much what I was going to say. We're going to be brief, be brilliant, and be gone, so.
So my name is Matt. He mentioned I'm a mechanical engineer. We first got introduced on this project a number of months ago, and we both did the building walkthroughs. We've both been involved since the very beginning. We together focus 100% on our what we call design build school HVAC school projects. So 100% of what me and Jim do are the exact same type of projects as this. And kind of one of the points I just wanted to underline with Jim is that it's an integrated team. It's one of the benefits of working with us is, my engineering group, the construction management group, the pipe fitters, the sheet metal workers, the team that works on all of our projects are brought from, summer to summer along with us. We take some of the lessons learned from some of the districts that Jim mentioned, some of the stuff that we're doing this summer, and use that on the next in the next summer. So was one of the things I wanted to talk about. So specifically Northeast Elementary, you may or may not be familiar with some of the mechanical systems in there, but unit ventilators that are aging, they're controlled by pneumatic control, kind of the precursor to modern digital control. So the heating system can be unreliable in its ability to control temperatures or bring in ventilation to the building. It's aging, it becomes uncalibrated, hard to maintain over time. So it's over 20-25 years old, I would say. In addition to that, there's no central cooling system, so they have the window units in the windows of each classroom that can cool the space, which is separately controlled from the heating system. So without ventilating. So one of the upgrade that we're proposing is providing a lot of different benefits. Number one, you're gonna get improved temperature control in the heating season because you're gonna get new unit ventilators with modern digital electronic temperature control. In addition to that, we're installing, as part of the scope of work, a new central cooling system, a chiller with new piping to each one of the unit ventilators in each one of the classrooms, the libraries and the hallways. So then you'll be able to properly ventilate at all times of the year and have modern temperature control and centralized cooling. So a pretty substantial project, obviously pretty invasive. It's a lot of work above the ceilings. There's a little bit of a small amount of structural work for a new chiller being installed on the roof of the boiler room. But all this is pretty typical of elementary school projects that we've done in the past. We're doing a couple pretty similar projects ongoing right now. At 2 elementary schools in Tinley Park and a couple other ones. So the system that you have in place and the situation that you're in is not atypical. The natural life cycle of the building, things age at the 20 to 30 year mark and become unreliable, increase in maintenance costs, and need to be replaced. So that kind of covers the scope of the work. Let you ask any questions if you have any questions on the details of that. And then quick note on the NCPA cooperative purchasing group that we're a part of. We've seen a big uptick in the request from school districts that work with us to procure our services through a cooperative purchasing agreement. So what that means for us is we respond to a competitive RFP every 2 years about, it's different for each one, but that we respond with our full qualifications, the work that we've done, and then our pricing model. So we send that into the NCPA agency. They give us a rating on a national scale and a local scale, and just provides transparency to the school district of how we're rated, how is the quality of our work rated against other people in the industry. And we're really proud we were a top 5 contractor across the whole country on the last rating, and it's one of the highest quality ratings, especially in the area. Either 1 or 2, the highest quality ratings in our area. So one of the things we're super proud of, and that's it's become more and more popular to use that route to procure our services. So without talking too long, we'll stop there.
No, that's perfect. So when I walk in to Northeast, is it gonna be cool in the hallways, Matt?
Yes, it will.
That was my question. I'm
It will
like,
be
can you put
cool
this
in the
in layman's
hallways.
terms, right, Denise? I'm like, is it gonna be cool in the hallways? The answer is yes, and there will no longer be window units in our classrooms. So we are very thrilled for that. And I'm sure Mary Zofke's in full support, right, Mary?
I make my face want to hear Mary works.
All I want. Exactly, right, exactly, so. I definitely have to show my sign of appreciation to both Jim and Eric. They've done a significant amount of research on making sure what I believe we are finding the best costs associated with this project. So I am thrilled to move forward with it, and I'm certain Northeast staff is as well.
Mary says yes.
So we'll be done next week.
Yeah.
So I forgot to mention the schedule. There's some things as part of this project that we can work on in the coming months to prepare for next summer, where the majority of the work will be done. With equipment procurement lead times, it's become somewhat more reliable, but still long. I'm sure if you've done construction projects in the last couple of years, you've experienced that firsthand. But all the equipment associated with this project has lead times, you know, for the chiller and for unit ventilators that can be 40 weeks. So it's come down a little bit, and you're on a great timeline to do a project reliably next summer. But that's the timeline.
No, of course. I understand that. But we're on the right path, right, Mrs. Berry? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, next, Mr. Carsey. Hi, Eric.
Statement of expenditures, there was one payment made in May towards the summer construction projects for the middle school bathrooms. Outside of that, really not too much. Salaries and benefits mainly. Next month is when the summer payrolls happen, so that's currently happening this month, so it'll be at the next board meeting, so then we'll see expenditures going up to cover all the summer payments. Statement of revenues, the two main forms of revenues received in May were evidence-based funding revenues, and then we started receiving some grant reimbursements, like we received our IDEA grant reimbursement this month. Fund balances, our tax revenues have slowed down compared to the last few months, while expenditures stayed the same. As a result, we saw a slight drop in the fund balance, but overall, I would say we're still in a healthy position. The fiscal year 24 Aero budget was released and for approval by the board. The total budget went from roughly 27 million to 29 million in fiscal year 24. Total increase of 7.4% compared to last year at 3.68%. And the main changes to the budget was a 2.5% increase for union staff. With the new building, 2 days of pay for the union staff to move all their stuff into the new building. PPO increases to 6.4%, HMO increases to 6.5%, and then adding 13 new employees, bigger building, it makes sense. So overall, I'd say it's a pretty fair budget.
So except for the 2 days of pay, those are pretty similar to increases that we've seen as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they are
PPO,
adding-
HMO, et cetera, so
Right.
that makes sense.
And the 13 new employees also include some addition to programming based on, I would say, the needs that we have seen based on response to student behavior. So there's definitely a therapeutic need at the pre-K K1 level, and I am definitely in full support of these additions of employees that are needed. Yeah. Right.
So you guys might notice on the agenda, the third one, I don't have a slide for it, recommendation for architectural firm DLA. 2 Wednesdays ago, we had our presentations from 3 architectural firms from our RFQ, and we decided out of 3 that we'd like to move forward for recommendation with DLA Architects. We asked DLA to come today, and they're gonna come up and give just a brief description about their company and what they have to offer.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, everybody. We will try and be more brief and more brilliant than Jim and Matt. At least get the brief part. I tease, I was pleasantly surprised to see them here. We share a lot of districts that we overlap in. For what it's worth, you guys would be in good hands with them, and we have a great working relationship, so. A little bit about DLA, we are a educational architecture firm, K-12, that's 95% of the work we do, so we're specialized in education. We're in Illinois, pretty much only in Illinois. We have about 50 school districts that we work with throughout the state, many of which overlap with these guys, so very well experienced, and we've been around a while. This is our 40th year anniversary this year, so we know what we're doing in education in the state of Illinois, so we're excited to be able to share that experience with all of you. A little bit about myself. I'm a principal with DLA. My name's Ed Wright. I don't know if Eric got my last name or not. Here, I'll introduce you in a moment. No, I'm a principal at DLA. I would be the principal in charge of your district. I've been with the company for 17 years. Prior to that, I worked in the construction trades in the Detroit area, so I have about 25 years of experience in construction, so a lot that I could bring to the table here, and I'm excited to bring that wealth of knowledge to all of you. And I'll let my colleague introduce himself.
Sure, I'm Peter Pontarelli. I'm an associate principal at DLA, and I'll be the project architect. Pretty much the go-to for all the projects, and Ed's right hand.
And he's a modest fellow, he's one of our brightest project architects. I'm excited to be working with him because he makes my life very easy. And just on behalf of DLA and my partners and myself, you know, we're very excited for the opportunity to potentially work with you all, you know, to serve your community and most importantly, to serve your students. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. More brief.
Light reading to do, like I know that you provided that as well, so
Yes.
thank you for that.
Absolutely.
And thanks for being here, really
Sure.
appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. I know Michael was a part of the interviews. Are you in approval?
I am.
Special ed revenue reimbursement. When I started here at the district, I noticed that we had an opportunity to be capturing more special ed revenue and that we currently were capturing. During the school year, I attended some professional development in regard to special ed revenue and claiming and received some great instruction on the topic. I brought that information back to the district and worked alongside Becky Tyrell to try and make sure we are maximizing our revenue. So, as you can see, the Medicaid reimbursements, which is fee-for-service and administrative outreach, over the last 3 years, in 2021, we didn't receive any revenue from that. Last year, we received $8,622, and after a couple of the sessions and just learning how to properly capture everything, so far through March of 2023, we've received $103,000, and I'm projecting us to receive around $137,500 at the end of the year for this. Orphanage claim, we've worked a ton on in the past month or so to try to make sure we're doing everything properly. And as you can see, the $26,555 from 2021, that was pretty much us claiming the per capita, but with orphanage claims, you're able to claim a lot more than the per capita. 21-22, $52,908, same idea, we just claim the per capita, which is just what it would cost tuition for someone outside of the area. And 22-23, we're projecting to have $130,914 of revenue from that as well.
So just to kind of go ahead, Colleen, do you have some questions?
That's great.
Yeah, so some of the things we did in regards to our Medicaid too, obviously Eric talked about what he did in regards to taking some trainings, but we've also met with our staff, so when we're looking at Medicaid claims and like fee for service, we're sitting down with our related service providers, making sure they're registered, giving them time during the school year, whether it's during PLC time or our in-service days to make those claims, following up with some errors and like frequently asked questions about billing, Eric following up with our contact with PCG, really just setting some expectations, giving some time, and really relaying to our staff like how important it is to bill for these students. They've changed some of the things in regards to like who and what we can claim, so we're just making sure that we're going to continue kind of updating our related service providers and making sure that they're aware and they're doing that monthly checking and not that quarterly. So, and then in regards to orphanage claims, those are students that are in foster care that have individualized education programs.
Thank you for explaining. I was curious, but I didn't. Yes, thank you.
I was gonna ask the same.
No, but that makes sense, right? So the service is provided for students, for the children in foster care. Correct. That makes perfect sense, so thank you.
Any other questions?
I knew Eric had it in him.
Said you wanted more money, so.
And it's money that that we should have been getting at, like it's not that there's a should have, but the students are entitled to it. And
Right, they're entitled to the service.
they're entitled to the service and they're also entitled to that funding. And it means that we can continue to offer, the necessary program to the students for an extra 240. I think that's pretty major. That's not a technical term, I know. I know, that is not a technical financial term, but it is pretty major. Awesome. Thank you for all of your hard work.
Yes, thank you
And
both
your
so
continued
much.
hard work. I mean, it's 3 years of growth as well, so
Yes,
thank
we
you.
are very appreciative to both of you.
Thanks, guys.
Good job.
This is what happens though when you set clear expectations with accountability, and I think they both did that. And I think there was a lot behind the scenes with teachers to really say, here's the expectation that we want you to complete. And I'm in huge support of our union as well, because our union was definitely a contributing factor in ensuring that they understood why we were going down this path and why it was so important for us to capture all the revenue that we possibly can capture.
It wasn't neglect, it wasn't that
No.
they didn't, it's that we didn't know.
Yeah.
So all the changes, that's awesome to continue to get that funding for our students, so. Cool. Thank you.
Right. Have a board report.
Okay, we have a board report by Mr. David Shepard. I'm so glad that you went, so tell us more.
Let's talk. Well, I attended the very first meeting, and in the door, they fed us food.
Hey. If you feed them, they will come.
It was more of a formal but informal meeting. So basically what happened at the meeting, they introduced that there was a nomination committee that had picked nominations for offices that had to be elected at that meeting. From there, we went over recommendations from the floor of guest speakers for different programs or different trainings that they want to put on throughout the year. They took some suggestions. There was a couple of popular people. I don't know who they were, of course, but I will in the future learn. From there, we moved to reviewing the tentative schedule for the remaining meetings for the year. So we did a tentative schedule for that. I'll bring that to the board at our next meeting to make sure they don't make any changes between now and then. From there, we reviewed all of the school board meetings dates to make sure all of the school board meeting dates were correct. It did not conflict with the district meetings, which was kind of a task.
That's a lot of school boards. Wow.
It was kind of cool when I walked in, they gave me this paddle. And it said delegate, but I had no idea why I had the paddle and other people didn't have the paddle. So I was sitting there with the paddle, right? And then when they started asking us questions, they was like, raise your paddle if you agree. I'm like, I got what the paddle's for, so I have power with the paddle. From there, we moved into the auditorium where they actually held the election. They elected a lot of people that I did not know.
It's your first meeting.
But they were very happy to be elected. And from there, they told us basically to get out because people were leaving as they were taking pictures. So it was pretty much, like I say, formal but informal kind of meeting. Looking forward to see actually what'll take place at the next meeting now that everything is in place. And that's pretty much the report.
That is awesome. I have to say that in my time on the board, we've not been very good about attending the every other month, every quarter IASB, so it's our regional meeting. So South Cook.
Can't tell you that was known because the gentleman that sat directly across from me, he talked to the lady that was directly across from me, and he said, he's from Evergreen Park. And I'm like, but I'm sitting right here.
Yes.
You couldn't talk to me. But it was a shock that I was there.
Yes, so no, it's wonderful, and I'm really glad that you are willing, and I'm glad that it went well. And I look forward to more. It is something that we should be doing, and so the fact that now we are is appreciated, and it's exciting, so.
You know, it was a good thing because the district, when she came to teach us,
Natalie was here, yes.
she remembered that I was there.
Nice.
That means I made an impression, so
Yes,
wait till the
it
next
does,
meeting.
yes.
Wait till the next meeting.
Well, but I mean, that's the whole point, right? Like to have those kind of connections with the IASB and be with our fellow districts as they're doing things and that we're all doing them together. It's awesome, and it's something that has been missing, so again, so grateful. And you'll see Dr. Natalie again.
Yes, I will.
At the next meeting, so, and it quarterly or every other month?
It's quarterly.
Quarterly, okay, so this was May or June?
This was the, this was the June meeting.
June, so there'll
June
be one
meeting.
in like September,
Yeah.
when everybody gets back.
Yeah, they're all spelled out tentatively where they're gonna be held in the different districts.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Very good. Sonia, do we have any public comments? Okay, great. Moving on to our consent agenda. Wow, look at us, okay. I'll read fast, 7:24. Okay.
So consent agenda item A is to, 1, approve monthly transaction reports for May of 2023. 2 is to approve the fund balance reports for May of 2023. 3 is to approve expenditure report and projected payroll report for June of 2023. 4 is to approve board minutes from the special meeting of May 11th, 2023. 5 is to approve the closed session minutes from the special meeting of May 11th, 2023. 6 is to approve board minutes from the special meeting of May 12th, 2023. 7 is to approve the closed session minutes from special meeting of May 12th, 2023. 8 is to approve board minutes from the regular meeting of May 17th, 2023. 9 is to approve the closed session minutes from the regular meeting of May 17th, 2023. We had a lot of meetings in May, you guys. Holy cow. 10 is to approve board minutes from the special meeting of May 18th, 2023. 11 is to approve the closed session minutes from the special meeting of May 18th, 2023. 12 is to approve board minutes from the special meeting of May 30th, 2023. And 13 is to approve destruction of closed session tapes from February of 2019. In addition, we have personnel recommendations. We have 12 additions, 2 summer school extended school year additions, 1 FMLA, 2 resignations with intent to retire, and we have 16 resignations, but a couple of those are actually redirects. If you look, they're internal transfers, so we don't have quite that many as listed on the agenda. So if I may have a first motion, please, to approve consent agenda item number A.
First.
Thank you, David. And a second?
A second.
Thanks, Denise. And a roll call?
David Shepherd,
Yes.
Denise Jones, yes. Rachel Merrickwin,
Yes.
Lauren Dowden,
Yes.
Michael Miller, Colleen Clemzak.
Yes.
Motion passed.
That consent agenda was an entire page.
Yes.
That's a lot. Okay. Item B was to approve our assistant principal for the Northeast and Northwest schools. I believe we have information on that in our packets. If I can have a first motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
And a second.
Second.
And a roll call.
Okay, Rachel Merrickwin,
Yes.
Lauren Dowden,
Yes.
David Shepherd,
Yes.
Denise Jones, yes. Michael Miller, Colleen Clemzak.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Motion is passed.
Yay! We're gonna fully introduce you, Megan, but I am so excited to introduce to the staff Miss Megan Franco. Miss Megan Franco comes to us with years of experience in the classroom and also as an EL coordinator, bilingual coordinator. She is also bilingual herself, and I do believe that will serve our families well. She really spoke to in the process her relationships with educators and her ability to really move change through her process of relationships. And I definitely believe she is going to be a great fit to our dream team. So I would like to welcome Miss Megan Franco and take some photos with her.
We have swag.
Yes, we have swag, and I would love to invite her principals up here, Dr. Bannock and Miss Carrie Berry, to also take the picture, right?
In the middle. You guys didn't warn me about this.
I know.
Take 2 rows.
Huh?
It's to everybody.
Congratulations,
Well
we're so
done.
excited
Well
to
done.
have you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. So good to have you. It's nothing like putting her on the spot right away,
I know,
right?
right? Picture.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
welcome aboard. Good to have you.
Thank you so much.
We should have.
Right? I didn't know. I didn't know, maybe. Neat. Item C is to approve our Central Middle School Improvement Plan, which we heard in A, right? So if I could have a first motion, please, to approve our Central Middle School Improvement Plan.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Michael, and a second?
Second.
Thanks, Lori. And a roll call?
Michael R. Miller.
Yay.
Lauren Dowden.
Yes.
Denise Jones, yes. Rachel Merrickwin.
Yes.
David Shepherd.
Yes.
Colleen Clemzak.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Excellent. Item D is to approve our HVAC recommendations for Northeast, presented by Precision. If I could have a first motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Rachel. She's excited too. And a second? Facilities. Yeah. Great, Michael. And a roll call, please.
Rachel Merrickwin.
Yes.
Michael R. Miller.
Yay.
Denise Jones, yes. David Shepherd.
Yes.
Lauren Dowden.
Yes.
Colleen Clemzak.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Great, thank you. Item E is to approve our fiscal year 24 Aero budget, and just as an aside, because it wasn't anywhere else on the agenda, 4 of us were able to tour the new, almost done, it's almost done, the new building a couple weeks ago, and it was amazing. So pleased,
Amazing.
and excited for what they're gonna be able to do for our students, and from all 11 districts, like, it was remarkable, so, yeah.
And
we
the
looked-
windows, right? The
Yes,
windows.
the windows. Every room in this
The
place has a
windows
window that
everywhere.
makes you feel as if you're still outside.
Yeah.
It is
Green
amazing.
therapy,
Yeah.
It is
right?
amazing.
Helps everybody. Yes, so, okay, I just had to say that, sorry about that. So item E is to approve fiscal year 24 Aero budget. If I could have a first motion, please.
Now first.
Thank you, and a second.
I'll second.
Great, and a roll call?
Denise Jones, yes. David Shepherd.
Yes.
Rachel Merrickwin.
Yes.
Lauren Dowden.
Yes.
Michael R. Miller.
Yay.
Colleen Clemzak.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Great, thank you. F is to approve the recommendation for the architectural firm, DLA, subject to attorney and superintendent review.
And both were completed.
Okay, excellent. So if I could have a first motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Michael. And a second?
I'll second.
Great. And a roll call?
Okay, Michael R. Miller.
Yay.
Rachel Merrickwin.
Yes.
Denise Jones, yes. David Shepherd.
Yes.
Lauren Dowden.
Yes.
Colleen Clemzak.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Excellent. And then item G, which we needed to add, was to approve the terms of the proven IT lease agreement for 5 years and with 5 additional copy machines for the district. If I could have a first motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
Thanks, Rachel. And a second?
Second. I'll second.
Thank you. And a roll call, please.
Rachel Merrickwin.
Yes.
Lauren Dowden.
Yes.
David Shepherd.
Yes.
Denise Jones, yes. Michael R. Miller.
Yay.
Colleen Clemzak.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Excellent. Okay, and now we will recess to closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district or legal counsel, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee or legal counsel to determine its validity, and also to student disciplinary cases. So, motion for that?
First.
Thank you. Don't I get to just whack my gavel? No, I don't. And a second?
I'll second.
Okay, great. And a roll call?
Okay, Michael R. Miller.
Yay.
David Shepherd.
Yes.
Lauren Dowden.
Yes.
Rachel Merrickwin.
Yes.
Denise Jones, yes. Colleen Clemzak.
Yes.
Recess to closed session.
Thank you. We will be taking action on the remaining agenda items after closed session. You're welcome to stay, but could be a while. I have to stay, but so we will be taking action on them. We will not be live streaming, and yeah, I can't imagine y'all want to stick around, but there you go. But there will be some action taken, and it will come out in our board briefs, I'm sure. It will be published in the next day or two, as Sonia is so fun. Thank you.